In August 2022, a famous South Korean online model and her family was caught with doing something quite peculiar, to put it most nicely, which then became a nationwide news, with national public broadcasters of South Korea such as KBS or large private broadcasters such as MBC all extensively covering this issue. The nature of the type of content news she makes, I guess you can say, is the type that would attract a lot of people online who are inclined to conduct the type of behavior that we commonly describe as simping. And we're not gonna say the names of the online models of South Korea that we mentioned in this video, by the way, as this is not a CoffeeZilla type video. By the way, huge shout out to CoffeeZilla. I really respect the type of work that it does, where you call out a specific individual but are lens to introduce the bigger societal issue of South Korea, which is the topic of today's video of South Korea's socially destructive online simping problem. So please, no pervert type asking for information of these online figures. This is not your place for that. I mean, if you can speak and search in Korean, the search results will come up to you right away. Anyways, getting back to what happened. So after finishing eating a nice meal with her family, we'll call her A from now, at a burger restaurant located in the city of Chuncheon, Gangwon province of South Korea, she suddenly reaches behind, takes out this piece of hair, and places it on a napkin on the table. After a few minutes, A and her brother leaves the restaurant. And then afterwards, her mother walks to the restaurant employee and just starts chastising the waiter of how there was hair inside the food in which they ate, and now that her daughter has went out to puke. Kind of weird for her to say this, as they literally finished all of their food. Anyways, the waiter apologizes, then provides a refund for the entire meal. But when the owner of the restaurant checked upon the CCTV footage, he could not be more shocked. In the CCTV footage, there was irrefutable evidence of A putting hair on the napkin. And the more horrifying thing was, it turned out that this was not the first time that A and her family did the same entire thing in this particular restaurant and got a full refund for their meals. Can you just imagine the anger felt by the restaurant owner after he found all of this out? So the restaurant owner rightfully took this issue to court. And the Chuncheon District Court of South Korea gave A and her family 300,000 Korean won or a $225 USD fine. But while the mother admitted to her crimes and said that she will pay the fines, A still continued to lie when almost the entire nation saw the CCTV footage of her putting hair on the napkin and still claimed her innocence and said that she wants to take this to a trial. We believe she perhaps watched too many Suits episodes and thought that an expensive lawyer would act as the wizard who can make a nationally televised evidence just disappear and bring her the victory in court. She then went on to reveal the personal information of the victim restaurant owner, such as his real name as well as the name of his restaurant. I believe we all know that this is a big legal, not to mention a moral taboo, especially if you're the perpetrator, as not only does this provide reputational and financial damage to the victim, but threaten their very physical safety, as the victim's personal information and location has now all been revealed. So did A prove her innocence at trial? No, she did not. With there once again being literal CCTV footage of A committing the crime right there in people's faces, including the judge, that was obviously not possible. So the Chuncheon District Court of South Korea this time gave her a penalty fine of 5 million Korean won or around $3,800 US and ordered her to pay for all the litigation fees of the victim as well. I'll quote the exact words of the Chuncheon District Court. The method of the crime is severely malicious, and regardless of the amount of money they stole, the degree of psychological damage and pain that has to be suffered by the workers of the food industry from crimes such as this is deemed significant. Based on how the defendant seems to show no sign of regret for the crime that she has committed, there has to be a severe punishment. End quote. And of course, even still to this day, not a single word of apology has been said, with the restaurant owner coming out on an interview and saying that all that she has been doing was show anger against him with an attitude of 적반하장, which is the South Korean term used when the guilty party criticizes and points the finger towards the victim. This was factually a nationwide news in South Korea. Most of the YouTube videos of news covering her crime case, created by various national broadcasters of South Korea, such as KBS and MBC, all have view counts, such as 2.7 million views, 1.8 million views, and 1.1 million views per video, just on the YouTube platform alone. So if we consider how South Korea has a relatively small population of only around 51 million, as well as how many probably also saw the news of this on television through the flagship news of South Korea, such as KBS 9 o'clock news, and not on YouTube, there is no denying that millions in the country are now aware of the crimes committed by A. So needless to say, for her actual fanbase in South Korea, who actually followed her when all of this was unraveling, it makes no sense to claim that they do not know of what she has done. So at this point, knowing the sheer extreme degree of the cancel culture that exists in South Korea towards an individual who has popped up in national level news for a crime and thus the nation's cancel radar, you would have probably thought A is done. South Korea is a country where even the most beloved of beloved celebrities, online models, personalities, streamers and the likes, if put under the nation's cancel radar, are known to be cancelled to such an extreme degree of where they often feel that they have no choice but to make the tragic decision on their lives, as in the case of the late Emmy-nominated Parasite actor Lee Sung-gyun or the late South Korean online streamer Jae-min, just based on rumors and accusations alone. You do not even need an actual verdict from trial. So for A to have received not just an accusation, but a judge verdict against her at trial, and in addition to that, still show no sign of apologizing to the victim, once again, you think that the repercussions against her would be more than dire. But no, the number of her followers, I can't believe I'm actually saying this, as such a phenomenon is so hard to witness in South Korea, but the number of her followers actually increased by hundreds of thousands after the nationwide news covering her crime. You may ask, how is this possible? And the answer to that is business model. First, let us get this out of the way. It is not as if she was not subject to any kind of public criticism in South Korea. So she blocked the comments for a while and is seemingly attempting to reach out more to the international audience, as they obviously don't watch the Korean news and thus do not know about the incident, with more communication attempts using English and other languages. So many of the recent comments from her followers are not all written in Korean as was the case before the hair fraud, meaning that she has gained some international fans, although there are still more than plenty of Korean comments. And I'm sure that most of our remaining South Korean patrons and followers are not dumb enough to leave a public comment out in the open as well, in order to avoid the potential possibility of them being found still simping over her online and be shamed by their friends and family if anybody they know finds out. This is a very unique phenomenon to say the least. The very distinctive facet of the simp capitalizing online figures in South Korea is that national level of criticism against an unethical act or a crime committed by them that would usually be a matter of life and death on the financial end. For, let's say, a normal celebrity who will most likely never be able to work in a new movie or a drama in his or her entire life, or a non-simp targeting online streamer, or a normal online model, where most of their followers will hurl insults for betraying public trust and unfollow, such a financial predicament does not simply come to the famous online figures in South Korea who mainly have simps as their fanbase. Thus, they really could not care less about any type of national criticism, as their income source is not at all negatively affected, if not positively affected, with national coverage of their crimes, with millions of citizens watching, as this means more latent simps now coming to follow and patronize them, spending their hard-earned income on donations and monthly subscriptions. As after all, as long as the simps can continue to see their great personalities, or even more if they donate enough, get given the "thank you so much for the donation my oppa, I love you so much," said by the female online model through live chats or private messages, the sims really could not care less about anything else. So in a sense, an absolutely untouchable, impregnable of an income model that is invincible against even the harshest of national level criticisms. Something that cannot be imagined in the unforgiving social setting of South Korea for any other normal figure who has their business based online. Now, we would not be doing our claim justice if we just mentioned a single case. So let us quickly mention another similar case to the one of online model A that has occurred in South Korea. On March 26, 2015, an ex-girl group singer, we'll call her B, received a sentence of 1 year in prison by the South Korean court. This was on charges of attempting to blackmail a famous Korean actor and extort large amounts of money from him based on the remarks in which this actor has made in private settings. Again, this was a nationwide news around the year of 2015 due to the very degree of fame of this South Korean actor whom she attempted to blackmail, where you saw the related news of this case almost every day on the news. So after serving her time, this ex-girl group member, Miss B, probably began to contemplate on what she'll now do for a living, with the national stigma of a blackmailer above her head, as in, at that time, the whole entire nation literally gave her this really bad nickname in which I will not say in this video. There were not that many jobs in which she could now do, at least the type of jobs that would pay the type of money that she wants to receive. So she probably asked herself, who would be willing to hire me or pay me the type of money that I want to receive in order for me to maintain my desired standard of living while not at all caring about my ex-convict status? There is only one group of people in South Korea who fits into this description, and we believe you already know the answer to this question at this point. And the answer is the unhinged online Sims of South Korea. So from a nationally televised ex-convict, she went on to become the most donated female online model, or what the people in South Korea call broadcast jockeys, on the Africa TV platform, which is essentially the mecca platform for South Korea's online Sims who are willing to donate endless 별풍선 or star balloons that are basically cyber cash gifts to the female broadcast jockeys in the month of November 2021. She received 6,756,530 star balloons in the month, which in cash is around 560 million South Korean won or 420,000 US dollars in just 1 month. And with her just continuing to show off her great personalities and communicate back with a "thank you so much oppa, I love you so much," said online in one of the private live streaming sessions when another lonely guy comes through with yet another large donation, she went on to receive a total of 22 million star balloon cyber gift donations, which comes to 2.4 billion Korean won or $1.8 million in the year 2023. $1.8 million in just 1 year. So yeah, thanks to the almost maniacal online simping culture of South Korea, B is now officially a millionaire, and just last month as of the time of creating this video, in January 2024, having made more than enough money to last a lifetime, announced her retirement as a broadcast jockey. What the two aforementioned cases of Miss A and Miss B gives us an insight on is just how destructive online simping can be for the human mind. And we are not just talking about lowering the IQ of the lonely individual and turning their brain into a mush, although that could definitely happen. But what is more concerning is that when an individual begins this self-destructive journey of online simping, they don't just become immoral, but amoral. As long as these online models, influencers, or broadcast jockeys, as they're called in South Korea, provide these lonely men with this hollow sense of connection and physical gratification, these individuals lose all sense of what we usually define as a moral compass that differentiates us as human beings from animals and make them become these pet-like slaves to their online surrogate girlfriends. Blackmailer, thief, ex-convict, victim blamer, liar, they just don't care. And having an army of people online in the country to the extent where even an individual who received prison time for the very act of blackmailing and attempting to extort money to even be like, "I've made too much money from you Sims now, don't need any more, just going to retire now."
I'm out, man.
We know that this is not at all good for the South Korean society in multiple ways. But then some may say, so what? They're at home on their computers, just simping away online and squandering their own money. Not like they killed a person. But that's not true. Such an online culture that has came to develop in South Korea has directly led to the most heinous of crimes in the recent years, such as murder. Let us give you a case. In October 3rd, 2022, a man is seen purchasing a kitchen knife and a kiwi in Seoul, South Korea. Then the next day, he visits a real estate agency, then goes on to brutally make one of the real estate agents unalive using the sharp weapon in which he bought the day before. The victim was the mother of Miss C, an online broadcast jockey whom the murderer avidly followed and patronized online. The criminal is said to have donated up to 22 million Korean won or 16,000 US dollars to the female broadcast jockey, only to eventually get blocked by her from her private live streaming sessions. Then the criminal, enraged over how his final fate was being blocked by the female broadcast jockey whom he gave so much of his money, heart and time over the years, went on to brutally make the mother of the female broadcast jockey unalive. The heartbroken broadcast jockey, Miss C, who just lost her one and only mother, soon also tragically made the unfaithful choice for her life. This is the extreme case scenario of the type of ultimate fate that could be met by an online simp actually manifesting in real life. He feels this intense sense of attachment and affection towards an individual online whom he almost saw as his girlfriend, only to eventually realize that he was nothing but an ATM for her, thus making the decision to do something that a human being should never ever imagine doing. Let us give you another case. Just a few days ago, as of the time of making this video, on February 9th, 2024, a man breaks into a restaurant located in the Jeju Island of South Korea by sneaking through the window during the midnight hours. He looks around and takes all the money and valuables that he could find, then exits out of the restaurant through the window in which he broke in from. 20 minutes later, the man is found breaking into yet another restaurant, and is once again seen stealing all the money that he could find. And in the span of a few days, the thief repeated this process in 18 different restaurants until he eventually got caught by the South Korean police. When asked why he committed such crimes, the man said that he was in a place of irreversible debt from donating so many Starboard and cash gifts to one female broadcast jockey. He even got his hands on perhaps the most dangerous type of loans in South Korea, called psyche loans, which are basically private loans made by the shady loan sharks of the society with ultra high interest. And if you don't pay up to these people, you know what usually happens. And you hear so many of such stories so often in modern day South Korea. Here are just some other headlines. A man brutally makes a woman unalive, steals money from her, and runs away. The man was said to have heavily been in debt when he committed the murder, but was still donating large sums of money online to a female broadcast jockey. A father of a young man in his 20s begs a female broadcast jockey to refund the 120 million Korean won, or $90,000 in which his son has donated to her, because of how his son is now in outrageous debt because of this and is constantly creating a scene in the house, shouting of how he will soon take his own life. A man is in 6 million Korean won worth of credit card debt after living a life completely immersed into a broadcast jockey. We can just go on, but you guys get the point. The end result for the online sims of South Korea, especially the ones on the more extreme side of the spectrum, is not positive at all to say the least. In the worst of cases, it leads to serious crime, as in crime directly against the female online model or her family, or against innocent civilians of South Korea, as these sims are finding whatever ways necessary to procure money to send to their one and only surrogate online girlfriends. And in the milder and more common cases, it leads to irreversible financial debt for these lonely individuals, only for them to realize that they have gained all this debt for, quite literally, nothing. The broadcast jockeys could not care less about their financial predicament, because as for the broadcast jockey, the sim's financial predicament most oftentimes equals their financial abundance. And when the usually young or middle-aged man gradually but inevitably realize that they meant nothing to these online broadcast jockeys, they often develop this intense sense of hatred to the people of the opposite gender in general, which is a long topic in and of itself, in which we will eventually make a video upon, that is aiding in the exacerbation of the extreme gender conflict that is currently a huge social issue in South Korea. And such intense gender conflict is, again not wholly but partly, contributing to the worsening of equally extreme social manifestations such as South Korea's 0.78 birth rate, by far the lowest in the world, that is almost half that of Japan's 1.37. So what is the answer for so many of the young and middle-aged men in South Korea who have fell into this trap of online simping, or similarly, the ones in the West who also suffer from such predicaments through equally destructive online platforms such as OnlyFans? While the answer is complex, we believe that the solution fundamentally lies in them turning off the computer screens or their smartphones and begin the hard journey of self-reflection. Come to the realization that their sense of happiness and fulfillment in life does not have to come from the broadcast jockeys online whenever they say, "Thank you so much for the donation, my oppa, I love you." Because the truth is, they do not love you. So instead of seeking love from someone online who will never truly love them, they first have to learn to love themselves. Keep that money to themselves. Spend it on taking care of their body and mind. Sign up for the gym membership. Buy that book that they've always wanted to read. Learn a new language, travel abroad, talk to people in a foreign language, and gain new perspectives. And when they finally start taking back their time, energy, and attention and start their real-life journey, we can guarantee that with higher chances than not, they are going to meet the partner of their lives. A real person next to them, not someone on a screen, who truly cares for them and mean it when they say, "I love you."